Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to be looking at Booming Blade. It is a cantrip from Sword Coast Adventurers Guide for sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. It says you brandish the weapon used in the spell's casting and make a melee attack with it against one creature within 5 feet of you. On a hit, the target suffers the weapon's attack's normal effects and then becomes sheathed in a booming energy until the start of your next turn. If the target willingly moves 5 feet or more before then, it immediately takes 1d8 thunder damage, and the spell ends. The spell's damage increases when you reach certain levels. At 5th level, the melee attack deals an extra 1d8 thunder damage to the target on a hit, and the damage the target takes for moving increases 2d8. Both damages increase by 1d8 11th and 17th. So we have, in this one, 2 scaling damages. And so when you attack with this, first of all, it's a melee attack. It's not a spell attack, which most of the spells we've looked at and macros we've looked at so far, magic users use their spellcasting ability. But this is not. This is a regular melee attack, which is going to use your strength and not your wisdom or intelligence or charisma. The only difference would be is if you're using a finesse weapon. In that case, you can use dexterity as your attack and damage bonus as opposed to strength. So first you're going to attack normally with the melee attack. If you hit, then they do the normal weapon damage of the whatever you're using. So if you're using a long sword, they're going to take 1d8 plus your strength modifier or dex modifier, or if you have some special feature that allows you to use another stat. So they take that up front. And then if they move out of their square before the start of your next turn, willingly, means they can't be pushed, then they take 1d8 thunder damage, and the spell ends. So they take the initial damage from your weapon, and then if they move, they take more damage. So there's 2 different damages. Now, where it gets tricky is that at level 5, they take the weapon damage, plus you get a 1d8 on top of that, and then if they move, it goes up to a 2d8. And then at level 11, it's 2d8 and 3d8, and at level 17, it's 3d8, 4d8. So let's build this and we'll see what we're doing. So default template, Booming Blade. And so the first thing we're going to do is an attack, because this is a normal melee attack. So attack, and we're going to do a roll in brackets, 1d20 plus. Now, in this case, we're going to use Kiara's strength. Again, if you have a different ability, if you have a finesse weapon, if you have something that allows you to use something other than strength for a melee attack, you could use that dexterity mod or whatever, but in this case we're going to use Kiara pipe strength mod, and then we get to add her at brace Kiara PB, which is her proficiency bonus, and that ends the roll. But we roll twice, so we're going to take this roll, paste it there, and then we're going to end the row. So let's run that real fast. Okay, so this is 1d8 plus 1 plus minus 1 plus 4, because Kiara's strength modifier is minus 1. So not her best ability. So that is correct. 1d20 plus minus 1 plus 4, which is her proficiency bonus. So that attack is correct. So then we're going to do the damage for the weapon. So we're going to go damage, and then this is going to be whatever the damage for whatever weapon you're using. If you're using a long sword, it's 1d8, short swords 1d6, or whatever weapon you're going to use, you put the appropriate damage here. In this case, let's say she's using a long sword, so we're going to use 1d8 plus, and again we get her strength mod. I'll just copy it from here. Get to add that to it. Okay, so now we're going to do scaling, but this is a little bit different than before. So we're going to do 5, 11, 17 less than, and then we're going to go get Kiara level, and then brace, and then bracket, and then D8, bracket, 4 brackets. And then we're going to end the row. So let's see if that works. So what's going to happen here is, I'll explain in a second. This is kind of hard to understand. Okay, so Kiara is level 9. So in this calculation, it's basically saying how many numbers here are less than Kiara's level, which is currently 9. And the answer is 1. 5 is less than 9. So it's going to roll a 1 die 8. So if you hover over this, you can see that it's a 1 die 20 plus -1 because her strength mod is -1. And then it rolled, which you can't tell by looking, but it did roll a die 8 and they rolled a 1. So if I do this again, see 6 is the roll on this 1 die 8. So at levels 1 through 4, this is going to return 0 die 8, and you're not going to get any bonus from that. From level 5 to level 10, you're going to get an extra 1 die 8. From level 11 to 16, you're going to get an extra 2 die 8. 17 and above, you're going to get 3 die 8. So that scales. The additional bonus on top of your attack scales, and now we're going to do the movement. So now we're going to say on a hit, if the target willingly moves out of their square, out of there, let's just put space, before the start of your next turn, it takes, and now we're going to do the scale damage again, but it's going to be a little bit different. And then we're going to do 1 plus, and the difference is that this doesn't start with a 1 plus because you don't get a 1 die 8 until level 5. This, you get a 1 die 8 immediately, and then at level 5 you get more. So now we're going to do the 5, 11, 17 less than, and we're going to go get Kiara's level, and then bracket D8 bracket thunder damage, and the spell ends. Okay, so this should work. So let's run it. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, so this is, again, it's the initial damage is rolling a 1 die 8. That's this. Plus -1, which is her strength mod. If they were using Dex mod, she might have a 1 or a 2 or whatever. And then it rolled a 4 on the 1 die 8 that it got from this calculation. Because she gets a 1 die 8 because she is level 9. If she was level 1 through 4, she would get no extra bonus. You only get a bonus from level 5 on. And then on a hit, if the target willingly moves out of their space before the start of your next turn, it takes 6 thunder damage and the spell ends. And it uses 2 die 8 based on the fact that you get 1 die 8 plus, because she's level 9, this returns 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 die 8. Then at 11, it'll return a 2, and she'll get 1 plus 2, which is 3 die 8. And that is how the spell works. So it scales in 2 different damages in 2 different ways, because one you get to add a 1 die 8 from the beginning, and one you don't get to add a 1 die 8 from the beginning. So I know it's a little bit confusing, but hopefully that makes sense. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you have any other macros you'd like to see, put them in the comments. And I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.